Okay, welcome back, guys. All I did was from the bolt scene, I just copied the UI that I designed. So I copied the canvas, I copied the room just to make sure I had the right room, the sunlight, and I copied the room light and the camera. So I copied all of this so I could get all the post processing. So I just copied all of that stuff and pasted it into this scene. Then I went through and removed in the button options. I removed the flow the sorry, I'm in the wrong one again. I removed all of the bolt stuff on these buttons and I assigned the UI button script. So if you guys have this, don't worry about that. I just didn't want to go redo all this UI design stuff again. So I assigned the scripts to that. So everything functions as it's supposed to. You'll see we have these two buttons that we created in the bolt video. So they won't do anything at the moment because they're not hooked up. Neither is this one. So we've got all of these buttons here. So I can add a bed, I can add a TV unit, I can have a TV, I can turn the TV on. There we go, I can exit. So all of that stuff is working. The UI buttons on the TV hasn't been updated, so I'll update that as well. So what we want to do is we want to turn these buttons off like that when we're not using them, and then we want to by just clicking this top button over here. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to leave this off, and I'm just going to rename this canvas to UI so that we know what that is. So we're going to start by creating a new script really quickly over here. It's not going to take long. So we're going to create a new C# script. Let's call this a UI manager. Just let it compile. You'll see in the bottom right here. Once it's done, you'll see that it shows up over there. And I'm just going to drag this UI manager directly onto the UI. Then we're going to open up this script. I'm using Visual Studio. Sorry about this, because Visual Studio Code lately has been giving me a lot of grief. So I've just been working with Visual Studio for the time being. I'm probably going to go back to code when Unity and Studio kind of speak to each other better. Okay. I'm going to clear out all of this because I don't need it. I'm going to create one serialized field for a button. Now notice how it doesn't pop up, because we need to, at the top here where it says using, we need to go and add a new one using Unity Engine .ui. Okay. So if you're using Visual Studio Code and you get a little red line underneath this, ignore it. It's not broken. It's just that Visual Studio Code and Unity are currently at odds as far as what needs to be in it or not. So don't worry about that. Okay, so now you'll see if I type button again, it'll show up. And this one's going to be, let's call this options button. I'm going to add a new one, serialized field. This one's also going to be another, is it going to be a button? Does it need to be a button? I don't think we need a reference to the options button actually. We just need to have let's call this button group. We're just going to make this a game object so we can enable and disable those. And I think we don't actually need a reference to any of those buttons. I'm just thinking bolt now at the moment. So there's our little script. So we just need a reference to the group that we enable and disable. And then we need a few functions. So we're going to make a new public void. And this one's going to be, let's call this one enable, disable, let's just say buttons. There we go. Two round brackets, two curly braces. So this is going to enable and disable this button group. So I'm going to copy this button group because we're going to do an if statement. So if I'm going to go back into it here. If button group dot active, just type in active self. So if it's active, what I'm saying is if this is active, then we're going to deactivate this group. So in here we're going to go dot set active to false. And if it's not, so else, sorry, don't add the 2 round brackets, my bad. Just add the curly braces, and we're just going to go button group dot set active to true. Semicolon at the end, and that's it. So this is going to enable and disable when we click the button. So that function is done, and we're going to just test to see if this works. So I'm going to just go back to Unity, allow for this to compile. Okay, the button group really didn't need to be public, but okay. Could have just been, oh, serial lost field, that's correct. So here's the button group, the options button. We have to assign that, and we are going to go to our options button, which is this one at the top here. I'm going to go to the bottom which says on click. I'm going to assign the UI, that's where the script is. I'm going to go to where it says no function, go to UI manager and say enable disable buttons. Let's see if this works. There we go. So as you can see, when I click on the button, these pop up so I can build them. And if I click on this one, so it all works, and then I can minimize them so that they're not in the way. So that does work. So this is good. It's a good sign that all of this is currently functioning as we expect it to function. So when I click here, you notice how those buttons disappear, but these buttons don't disappear. And I find that to be very interesting, considering that remember what we did, what happened at the beginning is that because these buttons are disabled by default, they don't get added to the list of buttons that get disabled. So we need to disable this button along with all of those buttons. So we're going to leave these buttons on, and then we're just going to have a where am I now? I'm going to open up the script. So let's just have a script that will first find all the buttons and then call this function. So that'll be in the Tiny Room Manager. So I'm going to go back, open up the script called Tiny Room Manager. Remember, we're finding all the objects of object type button. So we're looking for all of them and we're adding them all to the list. Once we've added all of them to the list, we are going to, let me actually just make a reference to it. So over here somewhere, I'm just going to make a serialized field. I'm going to call that object. So I'm going to, just for now, I'm just going to make it a, what is the name of the script? UI Manager. Can we do that again? Script, we're just going to make it a game object for now, and we're going to call this UI Manager. Okay, so once we know that, we're going to go to the UI Manager. After we've done this, we're going to go dot get component. It's going to be UI Manager. I'm going to put 2 round brackets after the greater and lesser than sign, dot, and we're going to look for enable disable buttons. So that should now allow us to add these buttons to the list and then turn them off. So for this to work, I'm leaving the buttons on by default. When we start the game, you'll see the buttons will be disabled if I've done everything as expected. It was not. Yeah, they did get added. So why did they not disable? Let's see why. Because like a dummy, I did not actually add the UI Manager to my script. I can tell it's a Friday. It's things are being what they are. So now they've been disabled, but when we select them, they all get turned off. We can place our bed. You can definitely play with the bloom. My bloom is way too much. So notice how they come back, up, down, up, down. So I want to change this image that we have here, because we do have 2 different types of images. One for when it's down, so you can see it's changed up, and then the other one. So I want to change that. And we're going to do that in the UI Manager script. So we're going to open that up again. And I don't think we need the tiny room manager anymore, so I'm just going to close that, and we need to have a reference to to the button that we want to reference and to its image. So we're going to go serialized field. I'm going to just search for image because that's what I want to change, and we're going to call this options button image. Okay, so I want to refer to that, and then I need to have two more serialized fields, one for, which is also going to be a sprite. This one's going to be, let's call this closed. The other one is going to be the same thing, but it's going to be when it is opened. Okay, so the idea is that let me just show you what I'm thinking here. It's shown up. So what is the button image? I want to change this button's image. And what are the images I want to use? I've got it in the UI here. I want to have my close icon for closed, and I want to have my, I think it's my options icon over there for when it's opened. I think it's the other way around. I know it's right. Okay, so now that we have those, we can call them in code. So now we've assigned the images we want to use, and over here we're just going to actually activate them. So we're going to go and say options button image dot image dot sprite, sorry, is equal to, what did we say? If this is open, then it's closed. So it's going to be closed, and we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to options image dot sprite is equal to opened. Okay, so we can test this to see if it's working, and we're almost there as far as these buttons go, and then these two are going to be real quick to set up. It's the other way around, so I should switch those around. Okay, so notice how the image changes based on whether it's opened or closed. I'm able to drop stuff, close it, so we just need to switch those around. So in code, this one is going to be opened, and that one is going to be closed. Okay, so that's it for this side. So all we need to do now is just assign a restart to restart the level and a quit to quit the game. So we're going to add two more new functions outside of this one. So we're going to go down, we're going to go public void. The reason we're making public, so the button's going to be looking for this function, and let's just say quit game, or let's call it quit simulator. It's very dramatic and not really a simulator per se, but it is more that than it is what a game. So over here we're going to say, we're going to type in application.quit, two round brackets and a semicolon. That is how you quit your game. That is all you need to write. So quit simulator application.quit. Now for the scenes a little bit different. We have to go to the top here and say using Unity Engine dot scene management, because we want to manage scenes, so we have to add that. And at the bottom here we're going to add one more new function called public void called restart level. Two round brackets, two curly braces, and that should do it. And over here we're just going to say scene manager dot load scene, and if you hover over here it'll tell you what it needs. I need the scene name, and so I need the scene name, or I can just put in the value, which in this case I know it's not 0, so we're going to make it 1. Because 0 is the bolt one at the moment. So 1 is going to be the level that I'm going to, and I'll show you why. If we go to our file, build settings, currently my tiny room manager is 0, so I'm going to add another one, so which means my C# one is going to be 1. So let's test if this works. Again, you won't go to test the quit until you've built. You can hit it and you can put a debug log to see if it works, but just to show you that the reset works, I'm just going to add a few things in the room, and then I'm going to reset the level. Oh, wait, of course it's not going to work because we haven't set it up. I'm having one of those days. So let's go to the restart button, click the on click, grab the UI, that's where the code is on, click where it says no function, go UI manager and say restart level. And for the quit, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do an on click, UI manager script, and go to quit simulator. Okay, so now this should work. Okay, so I'm just going to add a bed quickly, and then I'm going to hit restart. Notice how the levels restarted. Everything is the way it was. So that works, and the quit will work. It's just a matter of, we need to test it, but it should do the trick. So now all I need to do is fix these buttons, and we are good to go. So I'm going to fix them by simply going to my prefabs, going to my bolt, opening up my TV base. Let's try that again. And I'm just going to grab this UI buttons here. I'm going to go Control C, go to my code, go to my TV base. I'm going to delete this canvas, paste this one in. Just we can double check if everything is working. There it is. And we will need to just assign a few things. Need to go to the code. We're going to say object UI is missing, and we'll need to set up the buttons as well. The buttons needed to have their code on there, so I need to go to button. I can't remember what I did here, but I assume I have a script here that will say interact with object. That is correct. And then we have the other button, which also needs its own, so it's going to go to on click, share the script with the TV base, and this one should say exit, enable, disable UI. This one's going to be disable UI. There we go. So that should be it. Because of all the kind of the modular way we've done the coding, and we should just be able to copy and paste things. So I'm going to put the TV unit here, grab the TV stand, turn it around, drop it. There's my UI, so I can turn it on, off. It's working. So that's about it for this video. I'm going to be making another video very shortly that is going to be talking about how to build this project into something that you can use. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll be back shortly with another one. Cheers.